Hey guys, this is kind of experimental for us, but we're giving it a shot. We're doing the AMA, so we got a bunch of questions. My name's Robbie. This is Justin and Brent and Billy, and we make up a portion of the Beaver Builder team. So I guess we should just jump right into it. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Let's do it.
I think that was enough introduction.
All right.
They know who we are.
Yep. You guys know us.
Oh,
well,
so
maybe
yeah,
not me so much, but I hide.
we got a bunch of questions. We haven't really talked about any of the answers, but we might edit things out. Just full disclosure.
All right, ask a question.
Okay, Moritz asks, could you describe the near future of the responsive mode of Beaver Builder? Will Beaver Builder embrace the iFrame? Why or why not? And will we be getting more responsive editing?
Justin?
A good question. Yeah, what do you say? We're working on it.
Yeah.
There was a thread in the Facebook group that came up that highlighted some issues that we weren't aware of. The existing responsive mode, I thought this was really cool, that it uses the old shims from before media queries were browser compatible. There was some JavaScript that you could run media queries on old browsers, and we're using that to render the responsive preview mode because it gives you a lot more flexibility than trying to do the iFrame approach. But as we're learning and has been discussed, the iFrame mode is going to be a lot more accurate in terms of rendering because there's no way to fake the browser window size, which the media queries are based off of. So you've been working on...
Yeah. Like you said too, I wasn't like really aware of like the issues, but I'm glad it came up because like, you know, once we were able to actually get in there and start testing, we're getting it really close now, and so want to get that piece like dialed in because we do need it for previewing setting changes and things like that. But we are going to switch to the iFrame for like the overall preview. So that'll, you know, now that we got this dialed in and we know that that's working, then we can plug in an iFrame where that's where that'll work for us, and yeah, it should be a lot closer. Or, well, with the iFrame, 100%.
You thinking that's going to go in 2.1?
We're actually going to try and get that out next week.
Sooner? Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
I was talking with Pross about it, and we all feel pretty comfortable that it can go out.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's a yes. Yes, we're going to...
Score!
Okay, let's see here. Moving on. What is the deal with the Beaver Builder theme? Lately, themes like GeneratePress and Astra seem to be preferential over the official BB theme. Nice to know your plans for the theme and upcoming updates. The theme is a little bit more difficult to update because of backwards compatibility. That's always been one of the sticking points, maybe, is that there are so many sites running the theme and all of the customized CSS is based on the existence. So, you know, there's a couple questions that come up around the theme. Maybe we can kind of lump some together. Like someone asked if we're going to switch over to Bootstrap 4, which it sounds simple, like, oh, you just upgrade Bootstrap, but in actuality, in order to maintain backwards compatibility, it would be a nightmare. I think we've been talking about potentially doing a new version of the theme as opposed to trying to update the BB theme. But we're also, can I say, like, I think we're also watching what Gutenberg is doing and kind of, you know, we don't, if we were to do a new theme, it would be great to make it very Gutenberg compatible and kind of try and skate to where the puck is going with
Future forward.
Yeah, future forward. So,
Well, and this brings up a lot of different issues, one of which is that just, you know, the obvious thing is Bootstrap 4 is not an upgrade of Bootstrap 3. It's a new library, right? It shares a lot of commonalities, but it's not an upgrade path. You know, so that's not an easy, you can't just pull the tablecloth and it just works. The other thing is that when Bootstrap was created, we were in a world without Flexbox, right? And so the whole idea of these column grids and needing Bootstrap for like a quick little syntax to be able to do columns, like we're in a completely different space now with Flexbox and then CSS Grid coming up. Are two different perspectives on layout that we didn't have, and so that kind of calls into the question: is do you really need Bootstrap in 2018? And depending on what you're doing, there's still a yes case and a no case. But as far as the theme goes, you know, it's not quite as clear cut as when you dial back 5 years or more for building out a theme. Like, it made a lot more sense then.
From the technical side, Simon actually did some like research into what it might look like to upgrade to Bootstrap 4. And one of the interesting things that we found out that I think goes to your point about Flexbox, and even if you need Bootstrap, is that we're actually not using a ton of Bootstrap. Like switching, just like maybe the solution is just gutting Bootstrap and going to more native things like Flexbox and CSS Grid, because it's then you remove the need for that overhead. And you're using like more modern technologies and things like that. So
so I think the question today wouldn't be, should we switch from Bootstrap to something else, or should we switch from Bootstrap 3 to Bootstrap 4? The question should be, is this still even necessary?
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to look at it.
And there's definitely a case to be made for no. But we can come down on either side of that.
Nice.
I don't know if that gets us any closer to the.
Who is that? That was Jason's question. Yeah. So we're not. That said, we're definitely not abandoning the Beaver Builder theme. It will always be maintained, and it's something we obviously have talked and thought a lot about is where we go next, and we do have plans to do something in that space, but we're still kind of working out the best approach.
Well, and I think for me, what's interesting there is like, what do you want out of a theme at this point in a world where you're using Beaver Builder, Page Builder, and you're using Themer, right? So you're not looking for headers and footers from your theme. You're not really looking for it to do wrappers. So like, what is it that obviously WordPress has to have a theme, but what is it you're asking the theme to do? Are you asking it to provide styles? Are you asking it to configure WordPress, like custom post types? What is it you need it to do? Or are you asking it to expose like customizer presets where you can get some different styles out of the same thing? I think you have to go back to that question and say, like, what is a foundational theme in a post-themer situation, right?
Yep.
To me, that's the future theme conversation. And I think Gutenberg will be asking those same questions because, again, you're taking layout, you're putting it in, you're taking it out of the theme, you're putting it in a different, a managed context, and now the theme has to ask the question, okay, what am I here for? So I think the community as a whole will be asking those kind of questions pretty soon.
Yeah.
That could probably tie into also why GeneratePress and Astra and some of the other Beaver Themer supported themes are getting a lot more traction in the group, and people are using them and experimenting with them more because that additional layer is in there, making more things possible.
I think we'll see more distinction between themes that are offering an opinionated style, like they have a look to them. We'll see more of those, and we'll see these ones that are foundational and really don't have a look. They're made to be skinned differently, but there won't really be anything in between. Like this kind of hybrid theme that we've had in years past that kind of does everything. I think that'll get more rare.
Well, yeah, the landscape's definitely changed a lot since, it's we're coming on 4 years now. I think it's what people want out of the theme has changed quite a bit. Even just out of a page builder or WordPress itself, seeing all the new people that are new to WordPress and what they want has changed quite a bit. So it kind of changes the conversation. And I don't really think this is a whole. I know this comes up a lot in the group, but I don't think this is like that new of a conversation. We saw these kind of conversations even back in the forum days, years ago, when GeneratePress was around then. That was one of the early ones. It's not an entirely new conversation. But I will say too, to circle back on like you were saying, the Beaver Builder theme will still continue to be maintained and updated, is that we do have some people internally that are looking at, talking with support and looking at what we could do next with the theme that's going to be a benefit to the users and and what they're trying to do. So like with everything we do, right? We don't want to just put out features to put out features. We want to put out things that are going to be helpful. Not just kind of flavor of the month type stuff, and that's kind of I think the approach that that you'll see continue with the current theme.
Definitely.
Excellent. All right, let's do some easy ones now.
Let's start with the hard ones.
Can I change a website's? Can I change? This is from Eva. Eva says, "Can I change a website from Visual Composer to BB, and how will the pages be affected?" So yes and no. You can't port a Visual Composer page into Beaver Builder and be able to edit it, But what I've found, what I say often, is once you've already designed and laid out a page and you have your images and your text and your copy and everything's there, it's generally a really quick process just to redo that in Beaver Builder.
Yeah, rebuild.
Yeah. Same structure. You're still going to have rows and columns, and I mean that's going to map over pretty well. But there's no easy way to take that data and just send it through a tool, and a Beaver Builder layout comes out the other side.
Well, I mean, anything's possible, right? But the problem
We'd
with
love
that,
one.
the problem with that is if we built one, maintaining it would be a nightmare because
Yeah.
anytime Visual Composer changes something, we have to update, this tool,
Right.
and that's just going to be, kind of a cat and mouse game. And
That'd be a great
to
tool
be-
for some third-party developer to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
one of you guys looking for an idea of what to build that.
Or Squarespace or Wix or, it
Any
doesn't...
converter
hint.
you want.
Yeah. Okay, good one. Thanks, Eva. Okay, so do we want to talk on Gutenberg? Sean asks, would love to see more about the Gutenberg integration. I feel like we've written a good amount about our plans for Gutenberg in the blog, so that would be a good reference.
Well, also the alpha that's available on your My Account page as well too has the Gutenberg integration that we are. So far, that's what we're thinking we'll ship with. I mean, that could change as Gutenberg changes or as feedback changes and whatnot. But that's if you install Gutenberg on a test site, install the 2.1 alpha, and you go to a Gutenberg edit screen, you'll see what the Beaver Builder experience is going to look like. So I'd encourage everyone to check that out because we really want to get people testing that and let us know what they think. So that'd be a good place. I think I would like to at some point do a small video that just kind of like shows that and post it in the group for the people that don't have time to install the Gutenberg or the alpha on a test site or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
To tack onto there, so James asks if we will do anything in the I'm finding the other set of questions, so I don't remember exactly what he said word for word, but he was asking about personalization and if we will be offering or what we might be doing in that space in relationship to Gutenberg.
Yeah.
Which
It's a
Funny
highly
question.
interesting topic to us.
Yeah.
very, very interesting.
Who wants to elaborate on that?
I don't know if we
Well, I don't like,
Yeah.
it's one of those
Maybe
things
not
where I
too
don't
much
know if
elaboration.
we want to show all our cards right now,
Yeah.
but we are heavily experimenting with personalization and conditional content and things like that.
I mean,
But-
we're in kind of a space where we're trying to understand it right now.
Right,
I
right.
mean, there's the personalization is a pretty broad.
Well, it's interesting when you research it because it really is one of those technologies that's still just kind of in the enterprise.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot that's come down to the small. It's trickled down to I think you said some of this in some of your writing, Robbie, but it hasn't trickled down to the small business guy yet.
Sure.
So it is kind of a new frontier. It's fun to research and look into, but there's a lot of learning to be
Yeah,
done
well,
there.
and it's something that anybody that's experienced with, if you write WordPress themes or plugins, right? I mean, all the technology of having a server-side language, being able to ask questions and then decide what's going to come out the other end, is not new, right? That's basic WordPress, right? That's server-side, maybe not basic, but basic development for WordPress. But we haven't really seen anybody come along and say, here's a framework for thinking about this. Here's a way to approach it, and you've got some data that you want to ask questions of. How do we connect to that? And then how do you ask the question and evaluate it in kind of a standard way? So I think that could be the interesting part there is creating a user experience around a standard way of thinking about personalization.
Maybe we can talk about too that when we're saying personalization, the idea where it's really obviously highlighted is e-commerce, and someone like an Amazon.com, when you go on and buy a drone, for example, they'll start showing you ads for carrying cases and spare batteries and noise
Customers always
reducing
bought.
propeller. Yeah, exactly. And they will personalize the results on the page to you, and that's a really powerful tool, particularly in e-commerce, but it can be applied to other things outside of that. Content or videos, what you've seen or who you are. The more the site knows about you and can generate content, the more engaging it's going to be, and it's going to help your users reach their goal.
Well, it doesn't even have to be full on e-commerce. I mean, you think about any like a small business that has services that it offers, but most of the time your small business website is all about that first time visitor, right? And then somewhere on the site you have some nav that'll take you into like, if you're a member, here's some stuff for you. Well, if you can ask the question of, has this person been here before? Have they been here in the last week? Are they logged in right now? Are they, do I know this person? Have they been on my Facebook before? If you can get all that and say, yeah, they're somebody you know already, you could totally swap out your nav. You could totally change your homepage. You could do all kinds of things that are geared toward, oh, I know this person already. They just need to get in contact with me, or they're looking at my location, or they want to use my service again, right? They're already a customer and they just want a quick form to fill out to take their dog to daycare, or whatever it is, whatever service you provide. Having the ability to ask that question and then react to it in your layout, that's a big deal. So I think the e-commerce one is an easy one to kind of, you can easily see how suggesting products would fit in.
Yeah.
But I think the normal kind of websites that a lot of agencies are building for businesses stand to benefit from personalization greatly.
And as WordPress moves towards the block model, that becomes a lot more possible, as things are these independent chunks of data that can be displayed or live independently from each other.
Right.
All right, good one. Thanks for whoever asked that question. Was it, I think, James? So Devinder threw us a bit of a zinger. What's up, Devinder? Thanks for the question. He asks, any plans of including Themer within the standard Beaver Builder packages? Lots of folks get put off with Themer not being part of any plan. And lots of people liked that question, which is fair. That has come up a lot. No, I mean, to be blunt about it, no, there's no plans to do that. But I thought we could talk a little bit about why. Beaver Builder is a bootstrapped company. We've never raised any money or any funds. We started from doing client work and launched Beaver Builder, and within about a year we're able to transition completely away from doing client work into Beaver Builder. And it's been a challenge. Like we've been really fortunate. We've had good growth, but it hasn't been easy. And we've got about 14 people on the team now. Lots of families, folks with kids. These guys all got a bunch of little ones running all over the place.
Not me.
not me either. But that was, I mean, one of the reasons we wanted to do Beaver Themer as a separate product. One was the other side of that was we were just talking about this the other night. It was almost a year and a half in the making, from start to finish. Beaver Themer was over a year-long development project.
And just coming up with the idea and like actually fleshing out what it was going to look like was a good chunk of that for sure, definitely.
Yeah. So thousands of man hours and the planning and development hours went into Beaver Themer, and in some senses too, I think if we were to include it with a plan, the number of people using Themer is a lot smaller than the number of people using Beaver Builder. And in a way, the Beaver Builder users would be subsidizing Beaver Themer. Because the other kind of really important part to our business and our model is our support. And anyone that's dealt with our support staff for the most part has seen this in action. We have a extremely fast first response time. All of our support team they're all very technically able. They're not just gonna ask you to check with the third-party development. We do our best to really offer an extremely high level of support. And that's Billy, by the way. Billy's domain, so he's the one to thank for that if you've ever had a good experience with our support team. But
that response time is pretty crazy, though. I mean, what is it? It's a couple hours at the most or something?
Right now, I think it's hovering around 3 hours.
I mean, even for like big companies or, that have
Max,
tons
yeah.
of funds and support people, that's pretty incredible that it
Yeah.
is like that.
It's the team, too.
Yeah,
they're just fantastic.
They're great.
Yeah, absolutely.
and just having made a support request with an unnamed other WordPress product, I can assure you, like, it was nowhere near 3 hours. I think we're still waiting for a response.
I was
It's been
going to
like a
say,
week
I'm not
and a
sure
half.
it was near 3 days.
They put us to work, and in the end, nothing got fixed. We're gonna have to work around.
Yeah.
But for the whole system to work, I mean, a lot of thought and planning went into our pricing and our structure, and particularly with Beaver Themer. And it's for being bootstrapped in the way we do things, we think it was the best choice. We tried to find a pricing point that was both sustainable for our business, which allows us to build new products and continue to improve. Going back to the discussion about the new theme or what we're doing with Gutenberg, and supporting all of the hundreds of thousands of sites that are running Beaver Builder. It needed to be that way for it all to work. We're not just laughing our way to the bank here on our Beaver Builder Beaver Themer yachts, like it's
Well, I think one point to the pricing, or just speaking of it being part of a package too, is Beaver Themer is pretty specialized in what it offers people, and it did. I don't know if it would necessarily make sense as part of a package for a new user to Beaver Builder. It may cause more confusion than actually help. So it's kind of specific to its use to where it kind of feels like it should be its own product for people that actually need it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We want people to be aware of it when they go to the, like the pricing page, we've talked about this. We want people to know that it's there. We want people to be able to buy both of the products. Mm-hmm. But, putting them together doesn't necessarily make sense.
Yep.
I think you have a good point too, Billy, because Themer does get into some territory that you have to be aware of, like how these things work in WordPress, at least just on some level. I mean, you can't just be new to WordPress and understand that, I'm customizing my CPT template for this or whatever, or how the, theme hierarchy works and all this kind of stuff. It gets into some really advanced stuff. And that may even be off-putting to new users. They, like Billy was saying, get more confusing for them. It could lead to more support for us, put a burden on the team and the user, in the same regard.
Yeah, if you've never seen the WordPress template hierarchy before, I would think Themer would probably be a little hard to get your head around. So we don't want anybody too new falling into Themer and just being paralyzed, by this, like, what is this?
Yeah. Well, but thank you for the question, Devinder, and for all the likes. I'm glad we got to answer that one in a little bit more of a humanist form as opposed to just it being a faceless text blog post or something. So thanks, Devinder.
This might actually be a good time to break and do a camera check, just because doing long takes, sometimes things go wrong. And you get to the end and you realize I didn't hit record or things like that.
We're going to do a camera check. That was going to be my joke, though. I was going to say, I forgot to hit record. I didn't, though. All right. Good call.